Well, I know for me with sexual abuse, there's this kind of crossroads of, do I stay in denial or do I fully come into the light? And in some ways, denial feels a lot more comfortable. It's familiar. It can seem easier. And so I just wanted us to talk a little bit about what was the difference? What was the advantage of stepping out of denial? And I know for me, when stepping out of denial, there was a freedom, but there was also a journey into my heart that was filled with all these things that, all these responses to abuse, all the shame, all the pain, not to mention the disconnect from my family and what that meant for family members, that I was speaking out and that I was no longer staying under that unspoken covering of the family. And yet my life is so much better now. The freedom that I have, that I know who I am, that I have identity, that I'm walking in my purpose, it's well worth it, but it wasn't easy. So I wanted to ask the two of you, what has that been like for you? What do you feel like is the advantage of stepping out of denial instead of staying in it?
I think for me, I'm still in the journey, and there's new levels, but I think for me, I can see how my paralyzing fear of people, of belonging, of being accepted, of, being good enough is crumbling. All those walls are crumbling. And there's a love of myself that people say and all the cliches. And I'm like, yes, if you don't love yourself, who will? And all these things. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know what it was. I'm like, but I don't I like a lot of myself, the things that are acceptable, the things that get praised. Yeah. But the dark things, the things that are needy, the things that feel come out in a relationship, that I don't like that. I don't want to feel vulnerable, and I don't want to let somebody in to the point where they can hurt me. And so I think for me, what I see is hope. Even though I feel like I'm estranged from my family more than ever, because I'm finally letting go of the fantasy of the family that I was trying so hard to maintain. So I think for me, the benefits are the hope of a real life, of the kind of future and home and family, and breaking the cycle, really, and offering a legacy to my future, even if it's somebody else's kids. I love kids. Offering them a legacy rather than the inheritance of abuse that was passed down to me. A legacy of hope.
I love that. When you were talking about the love yourself, I remember someone said that to me, and I was like, that feels so unsatisfying. I love myself, no one else. Hey. And yet, getting to the point where, standing in denial, I think in a lot of ways felt like it felt better, but it's because I didn't ever thought about how bad I really felt. And it was this constantly not measuring up and constantly being like, well, you should have done one more thing. You should have helped one more community thing. You never lived up to that. And breaking that away, yes, felt horrific and painful. And, to me, it was your arm was on fire and it's something extreme and traumatic. And yet in order to deal, we just severed off contact with the arm. It was well, that's not there anymore. The rest of me is not burnt and I'm fine. So it's waking up to that burnt arm, but 20 years later, and it's charred and it's in pain and it's in pieces and it needs tending to. There's now infection and all of these other symptoms of stuff that we breed into it. It's not just the abuse in the moment and the root and the damage, but it's the years of coping. It's the years of stepping around ourselves and pretending we're not who we really are. And that feels like awakening an arm that's charred and burned. But there's such a peace that comes from feeling oh my goodness, I can actually see value in myself. All the things that are special and different and unique about me are not the cookie cutter frame of somebody that's not really real, but it's the me that's not just a blanket you can walk on, but I have discernment and I have passion and I have conviction and I can matter. And when I approach my son and I can think about, what do I want him to think about himself? What do I want him to know? It's not, I'm going to perform and be a puppet so that he'll feel insecure too and he'll be a puppet next to me. It's he's going to stand with me and he's going to know that he is uniquely created for something important. It's because I'm uniquely created for something important. And that coming to awakens these pieces I didn't know I had. And it feels both. It feels both amazing and awful, but progressively I feel more and more like a valuable person. And I feel like a committed person who can contribute, which changes your life.
out of an overflow rather than dread.
Yes.
Like pulling up the
Like,
dregs.
oh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Something to
Wow.
offer.
Wow. Well, I just want to thank you both so much. This was so amazing. And I want to thank everybody who's been watching and being a part of this conversation. I would really invite you, either you can leave comments under the live stream, you can private message me if you have questions. We may be revisiting this topic next month because there's so much more I think that we would love to share with you. So, please reach out if there's any other topics that you would like to see, drop me a private message or leave a comment on my page. And I do want to say a very special thank you to my amazing guests. You ladies were amazing and courageous today. It took so much courage to do this. So thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Shayla. And I also want to give a really special thank you to Derek Williams because this was his brainchild, and he has been with the whole crew here of amazing people since this morning to put this on. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and I look forward to connecting with you.